Hi everyone, Tim here at Pacific Coast Trains, and while I haven't been able to get a whole lot of things accomplished, I have a million things 80% of the way done, I did get a chance to pull one car over the finish line recently that I wanted to share. So let's take a quick look. So one project I actually got finished was this Pullman Standard 5344 cubic foot car from Athearn. This is one of the first cars that I've done from their Prime for Grime series, where the car comes pre-weathered and patched and is actually a better starting point for some projects than I would have guessed. As you know, I tend to like to strip my cars down to the bare plastic and kind of rebuild and paint from scratch, but was encouraged to do this by, of all things, a contest that I happened to see on Athearn's website. I guess the contest worked because it encouraged me to buy one of these cars. What came out of the box was this patch here for H&S Railroad. This is formerly a GTRA, Golden Triangle Railroad car. Lots of these running around. The car also came with some conspicuity striping as well. The lube plate over there was already on the car itself. So it was actually a pretty nice model to start with, but obviously this is a YouTube channel mainly about weathering cars, so clearly we had a lot more work to do. The first thing that I did, the car, you can see just a little bit of the original purple color here. Let me try and bring that just a little bit closer. The car was more or less this sort of purple color, and I wanted it to be a little bit more red, as you can see in these panels across the way. So the first thing I did was give it a quick acrylic fade with some brick red craft paint, and that started to take some of the sheen off as well as begin some of the color transition. The next thing that I did was paint, again by hand with acrylics, some of the tags that I knew were going to be faded away, but I wanted to get those on there. And after I had sealed that, then I started applying washes of very dilute water-soluble oils, primarily burnt sienna, to really start to pull out this reddish color that these cars turn into over time. After sealing that and then adding some chalk and some oils to represent some of the rust patches and some of the streaks and pitting down here just in the door opening area, and then along the door tracks, both upper and lower, gave it a final seal, and then added a few Smokebox Graphics decals as well, including a couple of conspicuity stripes on top of the tags, prototype typical. And then finally, after another sealing, the last thing I did was just apply a very thin wash over the striping as well to try and blend those in. They looked far too new. So that's the first side that was based on some very good prototype photos that I had found online. Second side of the car, similar approach, also used a photo that I found online for the same car, HS3631. However, that photo was taken from an angle that made it really hard to figure out what was going on, especially around the door and in the door area. In that picture, the door was actually open, so you couldn't see any tag over here. So I used a little bit of liberty, of kind of artistic license, to put in a tag that was just starting to come out. The approach is basically the same. A tag, a wash over it, sealed it, applied some of the rust patching and pitting, especially along the upper cord, and then finally a couple more washes, grimed up some of the logo a little bit, applied some of the decals, and then a final wash just to kind of seal everything in. In general, pretty happy with the car. I think I'm going to end up doing a lot more of these Prime for Grime cars. I've got a couple on my shelf in my closet waiting for some attention, but generally was pretty happy with the way the sides turned out. The roof itself, as you can see, fairly basic, just a quick overspray to give it a base color, and then added some oil paint, and then once that was dry, applied some chalk on it to dull down the shine of the oils a little bit, and then by hand added some of the sealers across the seam caps, and then of course along the edges as well. And increasingly you see some of that sealant applied above the door opening too. So I applied a little bit of gray paint there as well. Nothing too elaborate, but turned out really well. Happy with the way this car ended up. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. I'll be putting out a lot more of these videos over the coming months as more things finally get completed.